Okay, I think we'll get started with a quick introduction and get into the main topic. The presentation today is on our very recent cargo delivery field tests that were carried out in the Amazon rainforest in collaboration with the Peruvian Ministry of Health and a number of outstanding Peruvian doctors who joined us for the field tests. The presentation is both from myself, Patrick here, and Juan Bergelund, who's also on the call and joining us from Peru. Juan is a coordinator of our We Robotics flying labs in Peru and really spearheaded the whole effort around cargo drones in the Amazon that we teamed up on recently. Before I jump into the project and the results and findings, just to let you know how we work at We Robotics. Our mission is really to help scale the positive impact of humanitarian projects, and we do this by accelerating the use of appropriate robotics technologies. And the way we actually execute on this mission is through our growing network of flying labs. We have one lab each in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, with others in the pipeline as we continue scoping for prime candidates for our flying labs. And so these labs really serve as a means to provide the professional, technical training, the certification that's required for our local partners in these countries, and also allow us to provide access to appropriate robotics solutions that our labs team need the most for the projects that they are interested in focusing on. And so on that note, each of our flying labs have a slightly different local flavor because the labs focus on the projects that are considered priority projects for the country based on the challenges, needs, and capacities that exist in country already. You can find out more, obviously, on our website at werobotics.org/flying labs. We're funded by the Rockefeller Foundation as well as USAID. More information on that in our werobotics.org Get Involved site. You'll note from that link there also that we have a number of official partnerships with some of the leading drones and robotics companies in the world, which give us direct access to those companies and those technologies, as well as the expertise and the prototypes that are being developed and not yet commercialized or public. So that's an exciting relationship and partnership that we do have with the drones robotics industry. So with that, I want to get started on the presentation and look forward to your questions. Juan will be chiming and contributing as needed, as he can, both during the presentation as well as during the questions and answers. If you are not speaking, please remain on mute so that we can have the best audio quality. I want to start with what I would love for all of us to take away from this presentation. As far as we're concerned at We Robotics, the question has never been, and it certainly is not, about which drone is inherently better. I think that's too simple, superficial, and myopic, and we should be very careful not to fall for that. At the end of the day, for us, the question is rather which drone or drones under which circumstances and to solve which problems for which communities and which partners and under which budget constraints is the most appropriate drone. And these are just the main factors. There are other factors that come in as well. So it's easy sometimes to say, oh, well, this drone is better than the other, for a simple reason. But it takes more thinking, for better or worse, because it's a bit more complex a discussion. And so I really want us to all keep that in mind as we present our findings from our recent cargo delivery flights in the Amazon rainforest. As you may already know, there are no highways cutting across the Amazon. The main means of transportation is really by riverboat on very slow-moving rivers that also, as we discovered, filled with debris. There are just logs and branches and all kinds of other things floating down. And so that really, even with a riverboat, we ended up having to zigzag and stop the engine and clear the engine because there were weeds around it. So it's really slow going. But of course, if we could fly instead, the hypothesis is we might actually be able to have both cost savings as well as time savings. And so we wanted to really help test this hypothesis by carrying out a preliminary fact-finding mission in Peru with our outstanding Peru Flying Labs team, and to do some initial field tests. And for this, thanks to Juan and his team, in close collaboration with the Ministry of Health and a number of doctors and regional health centers and so on, we identified this particular route as being quite compelling for our field tests. Contamana is a fairly well-developed town on the shores of the Ucayali River in the Amazon. And Pampa Hermosa is very remote. It's not actually directly on the river, as you can see here. It takes a good half an hour to an hour sometimes, depending on the small path conditions, if there's mud because of rain. So it's actually quite removed from the river. And the distance by air is about approximately just under 40 kilometers. Now, a regular canoe will take up to 6 hours. There are certainly faster public boats. Of course, those cost a lot more, relatively speaking, and those can take about 4 hours on average. So we, again, thanks to our close collaboration with our Peru Flying Labs team and discussions with the Ministry of Health and others, we spent really many months exploring different use cases. We didn't immediately look at the Amazon rainforest. We looked at a number of different sites across Peru, spoke with different doctors, and it took a long time, but I think this was the most important and the most critical phase of our project, is really taking the time to identify what will be the most compelling use case. And so then we started narrowing down to the Amazon rainforest, looked at a number of different sites, and learned that in the Contamana region, as well as other parts in the Amazon, as well as in Brazilian Amazon rainforest and Colombian rainforest, there are some serious issues around snake bites. And some of the snakes you'll find in the Amazon are certainly not the nice kind. And when we were there as part of our fact-finding mission in December, we learned from the local doctors in the Contamana region alone that they were getting about 45 reported snake bites a month. Of course, not all of them are going to be reported. We also learned when we were visiting the local doctor in Pampa Hermosa, in that remote village, that the week before there had been a snake bite victim, and that they had only one packet of antivenom left. And of course, if that were to be used and not restocked, this could present some serious challenges for future victims. Now, as part of all our efforts with We Robotics, local community engagement and getting local buy-in and permission is not ideal. It is absolutely imperative. It's not up for discussion. It is very much core to the way that we work across the world with robotics technologies. And so we take all the time that's needed to engage with local communities, local officials, public health experts, and so on. Here we were at a local radio station in Contamana that broadcasts all across the town. And so we did a live Q&A with the radio station there to really get the word out. And Juan and team were also instrumental in getting permissions from the Ministry of Health for these flights, as well as the civil aviation authorities of Peru. So all throughout everything that we've done, we had written official permissions from all the stakeholders to explore whether cargo drones might be able to have positive value in the Amazon rainforest. Now, as with all plans that we have, some of them don't work out. And our original plan had been to actually use a very sophisticated platform drone that you can see packed up here, fairly large as well, so not the easiest to transport, but a platform that cost about $40,000 US that had gotten some great reviews, that had gotten some successful flights elsewhere, and so we were very keen to field test it. Unfortunately, Murphy's Law, if something can go wrong, it does go wrong, is very much alive and well in the Amazon rainforest. After 3 days of consecutive troubleshooting and testing, unfortunately, the manufacturer, the company behind that drone that had joined us in the Amazon was unfortunately not able to make it fly for more than half a minute because it became unstable. So this was obviously very disappointing and unfortunate for all of us, given that we had spent well over half a year preparing and working hard to get all these technologies down there and the permissions and so on sorted. So obviously there was, we were all feeling very, very depressed at the end of this mission. But thankfully, Juan and team had, I think almost by accident, brought a mapping drone with them because and I say by accident just because the plan here was not to map the Amazon rainforest. Obviously, it was to deliver cargo drones. But thank goodness they decided let's just bring Frankie along. And the name Frankie is not random. Our Peruvian colleagues have named this drone Frankie because it's basically covered in duct tape and held together with duct tape and rubber bands, and has seen a lot of action, as you can probably tell from this close-up picture here as well. So it's not obviously a brand new drone. It's seen a number of battles already. But basically, what Juan and team said is, well, we have nothing to lose here. Why don't we just use Frankie and remove Frankie's camera, because we won't be needing that, and replace the camera with the anti-venom and what have you. And this was a discussion that Juan brought up early in the morning at breakfast, and we all decided, well, yeah, we certainly have nothing to lose here. What the heck? Frankie had never flown that far or that long, for that matter. So it was really going to be quite a different field test altogether. And just to compare in terms of the prices here, you're talking about a $3,000 drone here versus the $40,000 drone that obviously has been designed and customized specifically for cargo delivery. So we spent some time, our Flying Labs team spent some time testing the platform in the morning, and this is, by the way, a picture of what a Frankie looks like when it is new, just so that you have a sense of what it looks like without the duct tape and everything else. But just to reinforce here that this was not a jerry-rigged drone, a kind of DIY drone. This is a professional, commercially available platform that has been used already extensively around the world, that has already been able to secure 333 FAA exemption in the US for multiple missions ranging from agriculture to humanitarian to others as well. So this is not, it's not something that was built in the backyard yesterday, right? It is a professional, commercially available platform that uses the Skywalker frame, which is a Chinese airframe, which is used all around the world. So it's not new, it's very well known. We use Pixhawk as well, which is also very well known. So this is a platform that can be actually maintained, fixed, repaired locally as well, which is really, really important. So our team started the whole process of programming the autonomous flights between Contamana and Pampa Hermosa. Meanwhile, the rest of us took the very fast boat ride from Contamana to Pampa Hermosa. And this is unfortunately not something that's available to everybody, because it's actually, it was thanks to the phenomenal support we received from the Peruvian Navy that gave us access to this very fast boat. Now, of course, we had to pay for it and cover the costs and so on, but we wouldn't have been able to do these field tests if we had to spend 4 to 6 hours going back and forth between Contamana and Pampa Hermosa, which is what we ended up having to do. Now, this is just next to the football field in Pampa Hermosa, which, it goes to show you, to admit my ignorance here. I did not expect that we would have so much space to land a drone, which is why the $40,000 drone we bought in was one that could take off and land vertically. But there was so much space, again, somewhat luckily after the fact, that it was perfectly fine to land a fixed wing platform like Frankie, and we had the whole village coming out to witness the first ever landing of a drone in their village. So it was very exciting. Of course, it also added a lot of stress and pressure because the first drone hadn't worked, and we had done our best to manage expectations, but of course, there was a lot of excitement in any event.